His beak blinks like a blinking beacon. Time for another video from Tulgey Wood TV. There's a brand new video every Tuesday here in Tulgey Wood TV, so don't miss hashtag Tulgey Wood TV Tuesday. Rankin Bass created some of the greatest TV specials ever. Arthur Rankin Jr. died in 2014, but Jules Bass we just lost in October of 2022. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has a complicated history. Sometimes called the most famous reindeer of all, Rudolph definitely overshadowed the original 8 reindeer from the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas. Rudolph originated in 1939 as a book written by Robert L. May for the Montgomery Ward department store chain, a competitor of Sears. Robert L. May was the brother-in-law of composer Johnny Marks, and Johnny Marks decided to transform the Rudolph story into a song. And that's exactly what he did in 1949, when it was recorded by Gene Autry. And that song has been a big hit ever since. The TV special, or as they were sometimes called, Spectaculars, debuted on December 6, 1964, as part of the GE Fantasy Hour, brought to you in living color on NBC. The special was repeated on NBC every year after that through 1971. And after that, it was broadcast on CBS and has been every year ever since.
Coming Wednesday night, the Christmas classic, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. See Santa Claus and an incredible snow monster in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Merry Christmas!
Wednesday at 8/7 Central and Mountain, here on CBS.
It's the longest-running TV special ever produced. This beloved TV special has become one of the most merchandised properties around, as you can see from this breakfast cereal, which is brand new this year. So this is a brand new example of Rudolph being merchandised. And we can take a quick look on the back and see that it has some fun reindeer games. And here we have the abominable snowman, or as Yukon Cornelius calls him, the Bumble, with good reason. And we also have Hermie, the misfit elf who wants to be a den. Thinking all along his name is Herbie. It's not. It's Hermie. And I think there's one point in the special where the boss elf does call him Herbie, or it sounds like he's calling him Herbie. But take it from Tulgey Wood TV. It's Hermie. But interestingly enough, merchandise specifically tied into the TV special did not start right away. In fact, it was a couple decades. Some of the best merchandise has come from the company called Playing Mantis, under one of their subsidiaries like Memory Lane or Forever Fun. That's the company that has created the Charlie Brown figures that I've shown you before in previous videos, and other Rankin Bass projects such as Frosty the Snowman, which I also showed you in another video. So let's take a look at some of these great collectibles from my own collection that were produced by Playing Mantis. Here is the star of the show, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And you can see how beautifully produced it is. It looks exactly like the character as seen in the TV special. And since he's three-dimensional, and the character in the TV show is a three-dimensional puppet, this really looks absolutely perfect. And the great thing about this figure is you were supposed to be able to press down on his tail, and his nose would light up. But I think over the years it has lost its glow.
For crying out loud!
But there's his nose, or as Sam the Snowman would call it, his nonconformity. It's just an absolutely perfect action figure.
He's cute! He's cute!
Rudolph was not the only character to be made into an action figure. We also have some of the supporting characters, even minor ones, like Tall Elf. Yes, here he is, with his 1960s style businessman eyeglasses. Didn't I see you in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying? He comes with these prop Christmas gifts, and both his eyeglasses and his hat are removable. And if you did remove his hat, you would see that he's bald, making him look very much like Richard Deacon, Mel Cooley in The Dick Van Dyke Show. And as we can see on the back, There were many other characters, including more elves. Among them, the girl elf, the big elf, who comes complete with tuba, the aviator elf, who's the character that gives Santa the report that the storm is too severe for him to fly that particular Christmas Eve. And we also have Santa Claus, Sam the Snowman, who is, of course, the narrator character, designed after and voiced by Burl Ives, Casual Santa, who comes complete with the Misfit Nesting Doll, and even the Eskimos Christmas Accessory Pack, who are characters you barely see in the film. And there's also the Elf's Toy Shop talking play set with Hermie, the foreman elf, who I think a lot of people call the boss elf, and a fully equipped toy shop, and so much more. It's amazing what these toy makers turned out. Now here's a character who is a great fan favorite because he's such a fascinating character. It's the winged lion known as King Moonracer, who is the ruler of the island of misfit toys. You can see that the designers of this figure captured him perfectly. And it's so much fun because he even comes with the misfit elephant footman, as you can see here. He's the misfit elephant with the polka dots. And this is what it says on the back. King Moonracer, the wise and benevolent ruler of the island of misfit toys, features a fuzzy mane, flocked fur, and 6 points of articulation. I think King Moonracer is a really must-have because he's such a great character and adds a whole other level of fantasy to this Fantasy Hour Spectacular, sponsored by General Electric, who, by the way, that very same year, was sponsoring Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress at the 1964-65 New York World's Fair. Now, I'd say these characters are a good size, wouldn't you? These really are nice and big. But if you want big, look no further than the Bumble. This action figure is, because this is, again, is just so beautifully detailed. He's got his teeth, because this is before Hermie took his teeth out. But he also has a star to put on top of the Christmas tree, which would actually come later. It says right here on the front some of the deluxe things about this deluxe action figure. He's fully posable, meaning that his arms and feet move, and he features authentic sounds from the Christmas classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Try me, it says. Squeeze this hand. Sometimes this takes a little doing to get him to work, but let's give him a hand. That's his roar right from the classic TV special. He has this great white fur and looks exactly like the character from the TV special, so he's really amazing. He's so big, I don't really know where to put him. So I'll just move the Bumble over here. As we know from Yukon Cornelius, Bumbles bounce! But I don't want to put that to the test by dropping him off the table here. And of course, we can't have our look at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer without Santa Claus. So here he is in another great, great collectible that's really quite elaborate. So I'm going to set it down here so you can see Santa, the reindeer, and of course, Rudolph at the lead. Now, it's interesting if you look closely. Aside from Rudolph, there's only 6 reindeer, not the 8 it's supposed to be. So I don't know if that decision was made so that the supposedly proud Papa, who's not very accepting of Rudolph at all, could be seen on the ground with Mrs. Donner and Clarice watching them take flight, or if it was just to simplify things. You might remember that in Frosty the Snowman, there's not 8 reindeer either. Too many reindeer to draw. So this set, called Santa's Sleigh and Reindeer Team, has a posable display stand included, an authentically detailed sleigh, a decorative display base, a cloth toy bag, the Santa Claus figurine, of course. There are pivoting joints to allow you to shape the flight path of Santa's Sleigh and Reindeer Team. Each reindeer figurine individually mounts to the flying rig, and the reindeer harnesses can be removed for play. but we'll let our narrator, Sam the Snowman, wrap things up.